Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first in a series of 8 classes for our spring semester of online Zoom classes from the Granite Family History Center. And tonight we have the distinct pleasure of having Robin Fuhlenbach with us tonight. Robin's in Salmon, Idaho, which is about 400 miles north of here in Salt Lake, Sandy area. But Robin has a unique history. We've known Robin for quite a while in several different capacities. And she, in the past, served a 2.5-year full-time missionary, as a full-time missionary in the training zone for the Utah Salt Lake City headquarters mission downtown on Temple Square. And then when COVID hit, she joined the ranks of the Zoom classes and was teaching everybody in the mission via Zoom. And then when she was released, she returned back to Salmon, Idaho, and was, as usually happens, she was called back into as a senior service missionary in the same mission, but this time, because of COVID, she was serving from her home in Salmon. Robin has provided things like discovery experiences for new missionaries through the church missionary department, and her professional life, way back when, right, Robin, included 25 years of teaching in the junior high and high school, and then 6 years as a writer editor for the Forest Service. So it's a pleasure for us tonight to have Robin, who's a regular contributor to this series. She's going to be talking to us about family history. It's not just dates and places. So we will have a question and answer upon the conclusion of Robin's presentation. If you have questions that you think you might forget, you can always put those in the chat, and I'll be monitoring the chat and make sure they get brought up at the end. And I will also put the link to where you can find this class 24/7, 365 on the Sandy Granite Family History Center website. Then there are lots of other classes there for you, and they're free for you to visit and use anytime you'd like. So, Robin, it's all yours.
Thanks, Bob. I have to tell you a little background here for this. First of all, this picture is my great-great-great-grandmother, and I just had to put that on here because I love her hat. And I think it's been colorized and enhanced through MyHeritage. So if any of you have old pictures you'd like to try that with, you can just go to MyHeritage, and they have a free service if you have an account there, of course. What this class grew out of was that there are a lot of people who don't have a lot of time to find out about their families. But given the Roots Tech theme this year of connections, we all discovered it, and were reminded of how important it is to connect with our families and know our ancestors. So I'm going to give you some quick ideas of how to connect with your ancestors through more than just their vital dates and places. So, a lot of times that's all we have. That's all we look at is the dates and places. And we've got a name, we got their dates and places, and that's it. And so we're going to look at some different ways that are quick and easy to find out more about. So I love this quote, but not everybody would. It's doing genealogical research without a knowledge of history is like wandering in a forest without a compass or a map. Now, what this does, it can give you encouragement one way or the other, or encouragement or discouragement. If you think, well, if I have to know all this history, then why should I do genealogy research? I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that. But what I'm wanting to tell you is that there is a casual way. There is a way you can be a casual family historian And whoops, sorry. And this class will help you to learn more about how to find your family if you only have short bits of time to do it with. So our objectives. First objective is we're going to use family search tools to easily find information about your ancestors. Okay, that's the first objective. The second one is we're going to find activities through the family history guide to learn about your family. So we love that family history guide. It's a great tool. Then number 3 is we're going to use Google to quickly search places in histories. So that's 3 simple objectives: family search, family history guide, and Google, to teach us some good things about finding our family. So I have 10 minutes. How can I find out about my great-grandparents? Okay, first tool, family search. This is the family search main menu. First you log into family search. Now this is assuming you already have a family search account. If you don't, sometimes that takes longer than 10 minutes by itself, but hopefully most people have a family search account. Then you open your family tree, and then you click on tree. And this is what comes up. Okay, so you choose the fan chart. Maybe you have come up to a descendancy or a different view, but click on here to choose fan chart and 7 generations. Okay, and then you can choose stories or sources or photos. Any of these 3 will work to give you information about your family. Okay, then this is my fan chart. And from this fan chart, you can choose a great-grandparent who has some color in his or her section. Now over here, you can see the color means, the darker color means there are 10 or more stories about this person. The lighter is 5 to 9, the lightest is 1 to 4, and if it's white, there are no stories included in their family tree. So I look at this and I think, okay, I think I want to go to Jens Christian Jensen. So I click on his box. It's got some color in it, so I should be able to find out something from it, some kind of a story. And this is the summary card, and that's what shows up when I click on his name. Okay, under memories, I click on that, and I get some documents. There's usually photos and stories and documents. This happens to be a document that has his history, and it isn't under stories, so it doesn't count in those colored things that brought about this color in his tree, but it's this history. So I wanted to see his history. And okay, time to navigate there. It took me about 2 minutes to get there. Time to read the story. It took me about 5 minutes to read the story. And time to look at the pictures. Got to look at the pictures. 3 minutes. So there's my 10 minutes. So I did it in 10 minutes. Pretty good, huh? Now that's assuming that you have family on family search. That's kind of the assumption here, but I think most of us do. Okay, next, I go back to my fan chart and I see that I have a second great-grandmother right here. You can see her, and she has a darker color in her box. I want to know more about her father, Peter. This is him right here. And so I click on his box and it opens his summary card. Okay. Then from that, I click on his name and it opens up his person page, which is what I want to get to next. This is his person page. So from his person page, I can see whether or not he has what's called a discovery page. It will be this icon, and it's in the upper right corner of his person page. I didn't put the whole person page on here, but that's about the position that it would be in. go to the new discovery page. So I click on that. The discovery page, though not available for every person on Family Search, incorporates all the other options that we have listed on this person page. So it includes the details, the timeline, the sources. If there are collaborations, I don't think it carries that, but it does take care of memories. So all of those things are put on this discovery page. And here is Peter Hansen's discovery page. So I don't know if you've ever looked at this or tried these out, but it says here's a life summary. It talks about where he was born, a couple of things about him. He had family members. Here's a chance you can write a story about him if you knew him or had any connections with him. You could look here at his activities about his homeland, and you can put your face in a costume from his homeland. Kids love that. Whoops, sorry. It has his spouse and children. I cut this off because there wasn't room to put the whole page on there, but it has his parents and siblings. It has a timeline with his family, how they fit all in together there. So this is a really nice little feature from Family Search to help you learn about your ancestor. Okay. Whether or not your ancestor on Family Search has a discovery page linked to him or her, you can create a timeline from any person page simply by clicking on timeline. So this happens to be Edward Fitzgerald's timeline. He doesn't have a discovery page, so I just went in and clicked on the timeline. You can see if there are anything in there that's interesting to you. It shows you a map of where he came from. This is where he died with the little lily. It has different sources, where he was in Ireland, where he was in New York. So, and that's just done by clicking on timeline once you're in the person page. You could also click on sources and memories to learn more about the person, because they aren't included in a timeline, only in a discovery page. But there is one thing you need to know. If you find mistakes in here, it isn't the timeline's mistake, it's in the regular information about the person. So it can be corrected. In here, you can correct it by clicking on edit to show that you need to fix something here. In the discovery page, you can't correct it there. You just have to go back to the person page to make some corrections. Okay, another cool thing that Family Search does is it has a spot called, and this is the main page. Family Search has prepared this place for you to quickly learn about your ancestors. So you can go to the Family Search main page, click on activities, and this is this drop-down menu. And in this case, you can, when you hover over activities, this is the drop-down menu that comes. And I chose all activities. And this is what came up. These are tiles that that's what they Family Search people call them, that you can click on to access more information about your family. 15 are shown here. There are more. So let's just take a quick look. Here are, where am I from? You go there and you can figure out, it takes you on some activities about where you're from. Here's some famous relatives. You can see how you're related to John Wayne, for example. This is all about me. What happened when you were born? What was going on in the world when you were born? Look at this, compare a face. You can take your picture and it links you up with what family pictures you have in your family tree to see who you look like. That's an interesting one. Here's a place you can record your story. You can put your picture in these historical photos. There's some in-home activities, some family obituaries, an ancestor challenge. It's kind of fun to do this quiz. Historical records, World War I service record, Ancestors Temple, And then down here at the bottom, I hope you can see it because it's kind of covered up in mine, but it has my pioneer ancestors. And then this, I think, is early missionaries and then women of faith. So I chose to look at my pioneer ancestors. And this is the screen that came up first. It happens to be Lisbon Lamb. And if you'll notice, it has all kinds of information on this page. He's the first person. It shows his timeline, which is here, and where he fits into it, and how long it took him to get across the plains, has that right here. And it has links to his photos and stories right here. And it also has a place where I can see how I'm related to him. Notice this little box, this thing down at the bottom. This is one of 20. This only shows 20 of my pioneer relatives. I can move from place to place using the arrows. I can go backwards or forwards using these arrows. So what else can you find out? He traveled with the Mormon battalion. He departed from Pueblo. He was 19. He didn't have a named company, but I thought that was quite interesting. And also that picture is the one that's attached to his family search account, and it has been colorized and enhanced as well. So if you are LDS and using Ordnance Ready, you can choose the Learn About option. And this is a screen that comes up when you select a person to take to the temple. And so before you go to the temple, it suggests that you take some time to learn about these ancestors. And notice there's a box here that says Learn About Elizabeth Schmidt. So this will take you, when you click on that, it will take you right to her person page, and you can use any of the options that we've covered so far to learn about that person. That is a handy device for young people who can quickly go in and see what kind of people they are that they're talking about or doing temple work for. Okay, let's go to objective 2. We're going to find some activities through the Family History Guide to learn about your family. So from the Family History Guide main menu, there is a spot here called Activities. Under Activities, there's a drop-down menu, and you can choose Home from Family, Individuals, Youth, Kids Corner, and more. Okay, this is the Youth one. I just opened Youth, and here's Youth Anytime Activities. If you look across the top, Plan Ahead, Making Family History, Documenting the Past, Social Media, Service, Activities for Research, LDS Activities, or you can go over to Family, Individuals, and Kids Corner here as well. It's pretty handy spot. Here it will take you to some places to look for things. I'm not going to go into that in great detail because Angelle Anderson is going to be covering this during her class in April 26th. So this is her advertisement for that. Okay, what about the other activities? This one comes from the family section under Anytime Activities. And I scrolled down and I found this one. It's using Google Maps and Google Earth, which happens to be our third objective. So this is where it teaches you how to use Google Earth and Street View stories to get started. And that's exactly what we're going to do here in just a second. So this is a great way to view and share memories. Kids love to see that. It's fun to do it as a family. If you've been on a trip, you can come home and look on Google Earth and see where you've been. It's a place where you can see where your family has lived or now live. And this is a place where you can have instructions for how to get there. I'm going to give you a few instructions here, but you might forget them. Anyway, here's objective 3. We're going to use Google to quickly search places and histories. So This is not one of my family members, but he looks pretty wise to me. The Western Apache believe that wisdom can be found in our connection with places. Wisdom sits in places, an old Apache man once said. It's like the water that never dries up. You need to drink water to stay alive, don't you? Well, you also need to drink from places. The Western Apache are people who know their landscape and its history so intimately, who feel a connection so strongly that they can simply speak in place names to one another and convey an entire world of meaning. Just uttering the name of a place can, for example, evoke a story, a warning, a legend, or a joke. Now, have you ever had that happen to you where you have shared a family joke just by naming the place where it happened? Or maybe you have a feeling that you might get from seeing a place that meant a lot to you. And so I can understand that Apache belief. So I'm going to take you to Google Maps. Now, this isn't, I mean, most people have been on Google Maps before. It isn't new. We use Google Maps all the time to find places. You probably used it to check on the traffic patterns or finding places. Okay. Or driving instructions, but you can use it to find addresses of places you or your ancestors lived or visited. Notice over here that it's destruction of what destruction like that, instruction of what it has in it. It's a web mapping platform offered by Google. It has satellite imagery, aerial photography, street maps, 360-degree interactive panoramic views of streets. It has real-time traffic conditions, route planning for traveling by foot, car, bike, air, and public transportation. And it links to Wikipedia. So we're going to use Google to search for an address. I type the address in the Google search window, and then I click on the magnifying glass or just hit enter to complete the search. And this is what I get. Notice there's a map. And if it has a photo on file, if Google has a photo on file, a map with street view window will appear. And then you can click on that street view to see it close up. So this happens to be where my grandparents lived. And if you'll notice, it's not too far from Geneva. That's my grandpa worked for Geneva Steel. So that's where it was. This all used to be orchards out here. And now it's a hospital and housing. Okay. For my family, this is one of those places that the Apache man was talking about. My grandparents lived here from the time we were little kids until they died. And just seeing the photo brought back many memories and feelings that I could share with my children and grandchildren. So the house looks so small now compared to how it used to be. I thought it was a pretty good sized house when I was a kid. And we had a wonderful time at Grandma and Grandpa's house. So one of the things that we have, all I need to say to my family, my siblings, is not that one, not that one, not that one, but that one. That's what we always used to say when we were coming down the street. We hit the one corner and it was 3 houses from the end. So we'd say not that one, not that one, not that one, that one. Guess that's 4 houses from the end. Anyway, so that was a tender place. Now, there's also a way you can look for places where you know your family lived, but you've never been there and you have no memory of it, but you found an address like in a census record or maybe in a birth or a death record. And so we're going to do a Google map for 118 Mulberry Street, New York City. I typed that address into the box, and in 1860, this address was the tenement that my Irish ancestors lived in. So it comes up, there's the place that it's located. It does have a street view. So I click on the street view, and there's the building. That was their tenement, and they lived in one of these small places. Each one of these was a separate apartment. And they had a family of 6 living in one of these small apartments. Now it's a smoke shop, but it's still there. And it doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape. It looks like it's been kept up. Okay, so that was kind of fun to see that. Now you can use Google Earth, which is different. You have to use this web thing instead of just clicking on Google and opening up. That you have to type earth.google.com, and you will get Google Earth. And I just decided that I wanted to go to the town of Herberthausen, Wittgenstein, Germany. The fall before my husband died 5 years ago, our daughter and our son-in-law guided us through German places that were important in our family's lives. And this happened to be one of them, Herberthausen. I used Google Maps to locate it. So this is an aerial view. It's got the outline of the city limits in red, and it's not a very big place. It wasn't a very big place in 1636, when a horrific plague hit the town and a lot of people died. So I thought I would look at it and see if I could see anything that would maybe tie into what they went through or what happened to them. And if you'll notice, there are forested regions. It looks kind of like they're managed on either side. There's a clearing, and it's got a river that goes through it, that little Banff River right there. Goes through, wanders around through there. It's not very big. But it's a very small town, and we didn't realize how small it was when we were driving through it. I guess we should have, but we didn't. And I don't imagine it was that much difference in 1636. So what happened in 1636? It affected a whole branch of my family. So let's look at this. Here is the family group record. I think you're familiar with these. There's the husband, Conrad Zoden. Eva Gessner is the wife. And here are the children: Johann Peter, Johann Roger, Katharina, Adam, Anna Maria, and no name Zoda, and Johann Arnold Zoda. So if you look at the death dates, 3rd October, 1636, 3rd of September, 1636, 9th of September, 1636, 5th of September, 1636. This child died in infancy. This child died in infancy. But look at this one. 25th of August, 1636. 3rd of September, 1636. And the last one, I can't see because the screen's in the way, but that would be also that time frame, 1636. So what could have caused this whole family to die? And it wasn't just this family that I have the family group record for, but it was all of Eva Gessner's siblings, families, and their siblings as well. So there was only one of Eva's brothers who survived, and he remarried and had one child before he died in 1640, and that was the son that I descended from. So I wanted to know what happened to these people. Why would they all die in 1636? So I typed that into Google. I said, what happened in Germany in 1636? And from this Google search, I found an explanation for the deaths of so many people in such a short time. It was the 30 Years' War. And the principal battlefield for all these conflicts was the towns and principalities of Germany, right where my family was, and they suffered severely. Many of the contending armies were mercenaries. That means they were paid soldiers, and they didn't collect their pay. They couldn't collect their pay. And so they were on the countryside searching for their supplies, and thus began what they called the wolf strategy that typified this war. The armies of both sides plundered as they marched, leaving cities, towns, villages, and farms ravaged. So when the contending powers finally met in the German province of Westphalia, which happens to be right where this place is, to end the bloodshed, the balance of power in Europe had been radically changed and the population had been decimated. So that's what happened. Either they starved to death or they got so weak from no food that they got some other disease and died. So that was the answer to that mystery. And I found it very quickly just by a Google search. Sorry. So each of the methods and examples we reviewed here lies on what is already on the internet. You don't have to do an extensive search. You don't have to have great research skills to find information about your ancestors. You just need basic computer skills and a little time, not a lot of time, a little time. So you can be a casual family historian. And if you have, that's the end. If you have any questions, I'll take questions now. Or if not, happy hunting.
That's great. I don't see anything up on chat. Just a reminder, I picked up a few things in here that Robin, that I hadn't noticed before as well, that I want to go play around with. Of
Good.
course, for me, I'm always creating rabbit holes for myself.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. And okay, still not seeing anything, but that's okay. That's really good. Very nice job. Presented it nice and cleanly.
Thank you.
You've been busy up there.
Yeah, and it wasn't even 45 minutes.
Oh, that's okay. That's perfect. We're good to go. Well, thank you, everyone. And just a reminder that you can view this class and others from the past several years at www.granitefhc.com. And you're welcome there. Or even if you're in this area, visit our Family History Center in person. We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and on Sundays, Sunday afternoons. And you can visit the center by special appointment if you'd like. And all the contact information and everything is on our main website. So thank you all again, Robin.
And if we go in, that will make it 100 states that have been there to visit your center.
Yes. Yeah, quite a few people that come in. So thank you all, and good night. This class will be posted. It usually takes us a couple of days to get them posted, but let your friends know all about us and go to take a look at all the class offerings. Good night.
Thank you.